Geekdom101 podcast episode 18 is the second in a four-part series going over the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In this one, we talk about Phase 2, starting with Iron Man 3 and ending with Ant-Man, discussing Ultron, the Guardians, Captain America Winter Soldier, the good and the bad from Phase 2 with Brandon Draven. The original air date for this one was April 7th, 2019, so let's get to it. And welcome back to the Geekdom101 podcast. And this week we're talking about Phase 2 of the MCU as we build up to Avengers Endgame, the big finale of Phase 3. So today we're going to talk about Phase 2. Last week's episode we talked about Phase 1, the last episode of this series. So check that out first, because you'll have to watch that to get this. We're going to go through the movies and discuss kind of the impact of the films, what was going on in the real world at the time, kind of how the MCU grew from the Avengers being the most... the biggest movie ever when it came out, to all the stuff that branched off of it. So here we have Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man. Those are the 6 movies that make up Phase 2. Phase 3 is much longer. Please welcome back. He was here for Phase 1. He'll be here for Phase 2 and 3, Brandon Draven.
I remember I was at a rooftop in the year 1999. And I presented a very smart man my plannings for, some new invention, and he left me up in the roof, bro. He never came down to talk to me.
I don't know if you're talking about Mike Graham or what, bro, at this point.
I'm talking about fucking Iron Man 3, bro, the beginning.
Oh, I know. I thought you were talking about Mike Graham, though. You missed the Mike Graham joke. He invented everything, bro.
Eldridge Killian.
Yeah, the Alpha Guy Pierce. So, Iron Man 3, May 3rd, 2013. Let's get right into it. This was after the Avengers. I think it was it was a year after, but in the timeline, I think it was about a year, right? It was about a year, same thing. It was 6 months.
Well, Spider-Man fucked all that up, but we'll get to it when we talk about Spider-Man.
Yeah, they did. So, Iron Man 3. Now, I was hyped for this freaking movie because Iron Man...
hyped too.
Yeah, Iron Man 2 was not as good as Iron Man 1, but Iron Man 3 had the Extremis storyline, which I'm a big fan of, and it had 2 of our favorites, bro, making their MCU debut. Guy Pearce as Aldrich Killian and
Billy Sadler,
that's
bro.
That's right, as the president, bro, and that is always great. And then we also had another one of our favorites, Ben Kingsley, bro. Another legendary fucking character, bro.
Now, you know who we forgot to put over in Iron Man 2, bro, and we should kick ourselves for this. The great Gary Shandling, bro.
Oh, that's right, bro. The ugliest man in Hollywood.
Yeah, the great Gary Shandling, who's one of my comedic heroes growing up as a kid. This guy was awesome. And he played what would turn out to be a very corrupt official or politician. And he's trying to get Tony Stark to turn in his weapons in Iron Man 2. That's one of his scenes there. So yeah, he's there as well, bro. And he'll come back later in the next film we're gonna talk.
What about the fact that Miguel Ferrer is the vice president in this movie, bro?
Oh, I love Miguel Ferrer.
I know, bro. Me too. Little things like that.
Let me tell you why we see all these alphas in this movie. Because this film...
And Shane Black, the director and writer, which we're gonna bury him here, but I like Shane Black still.
Listen. When I heard that Shane Black was the one that was gonna get the gig, bro, I got excited because this guy has made some great movies, bro. And he not only has he directed great movies, he's also written some great movies.
Yeah.
You know, remember
Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, The Last Boy Scout, which is a classic.
The Monster Squad, Predator. You remember he wrote Predator? No, he didn't write. He was
in Predator.
He helped out. But he was also the actor, the one that would say the jokes and they wouldn't sell them.
Yeah, but he also made The Predator, one of your favorites.
Nah, that one sucked. He made The Long Kiss Goodnight, which was a tremendous flop at the time, but it was a fucking awesome, popcorn movie. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. That's a great fucking film, bro. So this guy and he did The Nice Guys in 2016, which is also a great film. So this guy's no joke, bro. Now, here's what I gotta say about Iron Man 3.
Oh,
it's not okay. You probably hate it more than I do. Because
no, I rewatched it literally like 2 weeks ago. And
this is what I gotta say.
It really does not age well, bro. Look, there were so many things I was hyped up about. Extremis, Aldrin, and the Mandarin. I think what really killed this movie for comic book fans is the way the Mandarin was treated. Because that's Iron Man's biggest foe in the comics. And the Mandarin was treated very poorly in this movie. And that's, I think, the big division line in this film.
Yeah, he was just as a MacGuffin. I know. And that's one of the things that bothered a lot of people.
A lot of people, yes.
But the thing is, and Jon Favreau said this, it's like you can't have the real Mandarin in today's day and age because that's a very racist character. All right.
Yeah, he was Chinese.
But also he did a lot of like Chinese stereotype tropes, if I could say it like that. And correct me if I'm wrong, is the reason why he's Asian because Tony Stark came up during the Vietnam War era? Is that why, or is that a different reason?
I think that would make sense. That would make a lot of sense, actually. That I don't remember, to be honest with you. But
and then the Mandarin is not just a terrorist, right? He's got like wacky, like mythical
he's got
powers.
magic. Yeah, he's got rings that actually give him powers. Yeah, that's correct. But I like how in the film they try to make him out to be like Osama bin Laden. I mean, it was pretty much like the same idea. And like I said, the first act of this film, those little videos of him terrorizing the president and like the attack on Tony's mansion is some of the best. That's probably my favorite overall act in all Iron Man movies. Like that one chunk of the film is my favorite from all the movies. And then it just falls apart with the kid, the buddy cop shit, the Mandarin getting buried, and then at the end. What irritates me about this movie, bro, is at the end they show all those awesome iron suits. There's like all these awesome suits, and they all have their own little technique and their own little tricks. And then like the Mandarin's got the extremist power already inside of him, and then like Gwyneth Paltrow gets the powers, and it's just like how in Iron Man 2, she's like, oh, what do I do? And then he's like, oh, we'll fix it. Like that's it. Like they could have had like a story where he's trying to cure her of this. And he's just like, oh, we'll fix it. Like they just dropped it.
This is a very polarizing film because fans of Shane Black who are not invested in the comics love this film. Because like I said before, this is a good Shane Black film. It's a bad Iron Man film. That's what I think. All his tropes are in there. All the things that have made him big and his
plus,
writing.
Like the traitor bitch, the one that was his friend and she turned on him. You could see that turn coming from a mile away.
Yeah, you could actually. So I'm conflicted in this film because
I don't like it, bro. Look, I thought I was gonna like it more when I watched it over again, but it really shits the bed, honestly.
And it's like this is also the most isolated film from the MCU. Like there's nothing here that
the
really.
only thing that this ties into the future films is that Tony got inspired to create Ultron from this. Remember, he had all those automated suits. That's kind of the idea for Ultron. The early version of Ultron. So
yes.
There is that.
But also, he retires here, and then he just comes back with no explanation.
Yeah, it's weird.
So yeah, this film, it's also, it doesn't really have Iron Man in this film. It's all Tony Stark. Like this film has the least Iron Man scenes. I don't even know if there's any extended Iron Man scene, bro. Now that I think about it,
early in the film.
Yeah, because he goes through.
The scene with the parachutes and he's saving them all. That's like the one Iron Man scene.
But he's not even in the suit though. That's another little.
That's true. Yeah. Well, that's what they're saying. That automation shit's where they got the idea for Ultron.
So Shane Black's idea here was to deal with the man Tony Stark, because one thing that I do like about this, and it's very real to life, is that Tony Stark suffers from PTSD. He has post-traumatic stress disorder from the battle.
He flew into space, dude.
Yeah, from the Battle of New York, and they do a great job of when he gets the panic attacks, bro. Because we've both been there, and it's very true to life. Right. When he can't breathe and he has to go outside, and and for somebody like Tony Stark, who's so egocentric, as a person, I think that humanizes him tremendously because it takes away who he really is, and he can't control his body. And here's a guy who could build suits and technology, and his own body is kind of like that's the only thing he cannot control due to this PTSD. And it ends up sending him to that isolated town. I think it's in Nashville, where he meets where he meets that kid. And then
that kid was annoying.
Once he meets that kid, it goes back to the 80s, like Amblin Entertainment, Steven Spielberg, like the Shane Black thing, where like you have the grown up sparring verbally with the kid. That's something that got over in the 80s a lot because people saw it as charming. But now in the more jaded society we live in, it's like this kid just came off as annoying, and but there's also like Shane Black got away with a lot because they didn't like the kid would call Tony an asshole, and then Tony dropped an F-bomb, I think. So there was like very grown up talk, which I kind of appreciated. And then it was Tony. It was like Tony being Tony. He wasn't gonna be a father figure for this brat boy. He was like fucking just like, I'm your daddy, you know, and this and that. So that was kind of cool too. I like how they did that. Like there was no bonding here. It was just Tony needed him to rebuild Jarvis, and that's exactly what he used him for. He gave him that little gimmick to scare away bullies, which looked like a purple gimmick if you ask me, bro. And then
it wasn't Paige's purple gimmick though.
And then that was it. And then we also get more development with Rhodey, because Rhodey has his own arc where he creates the Iron Patriot.
Iron Patriot, yes.
So he's dealing with Ulrich Killian's character more so than Tony is. So what is Ulrich's motivation in this movie? I know he's pissed off because Tony left him in the room.
Tony left him in the dust, yeah, and he wants to gain this superpower. Pretty much, yeah. That's it. Mad scientist. I mean, the one good thing about the movie is that the development is that he got his shrapnel removed, so that was longer a problem.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, like then what? How do you explain all the other fucking No, because the entire arc of this film with Tony is that he doesn't have to be somebody who he's not. It's okay to be Tony. Like he's always hid behind this inflated ego, and then he created Iron Man to help him with that ego problem, right? So once he understands that it's okay to be him, and that he's in love with Pepper, and he might even want to start a family, because this is the first time they bring that whole issue of family. That's the whole thing, because at the end, when he throws away the arc reactor because he's not going to be Iron Man anymore, and he destroys all the suits, he says it's okay to be me, because Iron Man lives inside of me. It's not the other way around.
By the time we get to Age of Ultron, he's got new suits. All right.
Without any explanation.
Which, that's what I'm saying. That's what led to Ultron. I think that's kind of what led to Ultron, is that he didn't want to be Iron Man anymore, so he wanted to create the Ultron project, take over for him. That's pretty much what it was. So it does kind of make sense in that aspect.
Yeah, but he retired but didn't that arc reactor that he took off, wasn't that what gave him the ability to control the suits or I've always
that kept him alive. That kept him alive. Yeah, he would use it to control the suits. But then later on, he got better technology. He's got nanotech in freaking Infinity War. So he just gets better and better and better.
And then Ben Kingsley being a drunk Mandarin, bro.
I mean, that's perfect for him, bro. and then bro, why is that Bushwhacker Butch, bro?
And then the post credit scene sucks, bro. Where it's just like Mizark Ruffalo just kind of listening to him as he's telling him the entire movie we just watched. That's pretty much it. That's it.
Yeah, it's below average. Now, Thor: The Dark World. 2013 was not a good year for the MCU. I hate this fucking movie, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I can't stand Thor: The Dark World. Thor: The Dark World is the worst MCU movie of all time. It's not Captain Marvel. It's this one. I have tried to watch this film. Okay, so the first time I saw this movie, I fell asleep. The second time I saw it, I fell asleep, and then I woke up and went back to where I left off, and I still was bored. It's boring. Natalie Portman phones it in. This is like her worst career performance ever. I like Idris Elba, but we pop for him because he's alpha, and I like some of the other actors, but I don't like this movie, bro. The villain sucks. Malekith, the Dark Elf. The lore was just not interesting. Oh, I do not like this film. It sucks. The only thing I like about this movie is Benicio del Toro as the collector at the end, bro. That's it.
Well, this film had a lot of production problems. It was supposed to be directed by Patty Jenkins, who went on to do Wonder Woman, and Patty Jenkins wanted to write it as this feminist film, right? That's the reason why Jen Foster is a big part of this film. And Kevin Feige didn't agree with her, so he canned her ass. And then he brought in the guy from Game of Thrones, one of the writers. Yes, and
from the West Wing, he's in a bunch of shows.
So he much like Ryan Johnson, who you love, who has this phenomenal filmography from TV. Same thing with Alan Taylor. He's got, but when it comes to making movies, which is a whole other thing, he wasn't that good. But he was also working with the script that was already half written, and the script kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. It's funny because the Dark Elves themselves, from what I understand, they're kind of a big deal in the comic, because they're like big villains. I think they were like, the Dark Elves predate the universe, bro.
Yes.
You know, and Malekith is one of the main ones, if not the main one.
Yeah, Malekith the Accursed. Yeah, he is. You're right.
So right here, like you said, they're kind of an afterthought, and the whole idea here is that we get introduced to another Infinity Stone, which is the Ether, which is weird because I don't know if they retconned it or what, because it's the Reality Stone, the one where you could create fake shit and you think it's real, but that's never right here. It's used more as a weapon to kill people. So it's weird how they use. I guess you could use it for different things, but it's just weird. And then it gets kind of wacky, bro, because Jane Foster gets kind of possessed by the Ether, and she's kind of like, she's the one that controls this, so she has it in her for a while, and then Thor has to get Loki out of prison because he needs his because he knows his, because what happens is that this is dumb, bro.
It's dumb.
Odin, he closes Asgard, bro.
Yeah.
He closes all of Asgard, and then Thor's like, we gotta go destroy the Dark Elves before they attack us. And the only one that knows a secret way out of Asgard, not Odin, mind you, who's like a billion-year-old god,
bro. Yeah.
But Loki's the only one that knows this fucking backdoor out of Asgard. All right. So he recruits him to go to the Dark Elf territory, whatever that is, Mid-South. I don't know.
Mid-South, bro. Mid-South. Southeastern.
So Thor's stupid plan. This is Thor's dumb plan, bro. He's gonna take Jane Austen to the Southeastern, the Dark Elves planet, and then he's gonna when the Ether comes out of her and Malekith gets distracted, he's gonna kill him, bro. So he was gonna do a run in and then also do like a fuck finish, if you want to use wrestling terms, in order to kill this guy. He was gonna play his theme music to distract Malekith and then pin him. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't work, obviously, right? Because this is a stupid fucking plan.
The movie's dumb, bro. I mean, I don't even know why you're even talking about it. This is not a good. I can't stand this movie, bro.
So then what happens?
It's so bad.
So their plan goes fuck. It doesn't work, and then somehow in this whole fucking schmosh, the Dark Elves quote unquote kill Loki, right? We get that moment of. This is what I hate about the relationship between Thor and Loki, bro. Whenever one of them is in trouble, the other one all of a sudden has feelings for that other person, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, do you hate me or do you love? This is fucking some borderline personality.
He should have hugged him and made the Bret Hart face, bro. I love you, Owen. I love you too, Bret.
So then it ends up back on Earth, and this is where it gets fucking stupid. So then
they go to the Convergence. God, this is dumb. In Greenwich, Connecticut, dog. Of course, it has to be there, of all places.
And then the only good thing here is that
that Paul Levesque in the background? No.
no, that Thor loses his mom, played by Rene Russo, was another good actress, and that's when we start seeing the whole thing about Loki.
Well, Russo is definitely something I see all over this movie, bro.
So, but not the brothers Russo who would help us out.
We're getting there. That's next.
So Rene Russo dies, which starts the thing about Thor losing his family little by little, and that's pretty much it, bro. They defeat the stupid Dark Elf, and then
the two jabronis go visit fucking our boy, the Collector, bro. Del Toro. Collector. Yeah, Taliber, he's got a wacky real name. He's got a Mid-South wrestling fucking real name, bro. Telenir Teven, bro.
But then the bitch that betrays them in Guardians, she introduces them like all fucking big and shit. Remember, she's like, and now, Thanaver Theater, the Collector.
The Collector.
And then he comes out like,
Guardians.
Us Guardians.
It's dangerous to have two Infinity Stones so close to each other.
No, that's what they say. But they. So that's why they turn over the Reality Stone to him, because they already have the Tesseract in Asgard, so they don't want to have.
What about how in the post credit they have one of the fucking frost monsters show up and that's it? They never blow that off. They never blew it off, bro. They had a frost monster show up in like France or some shit, or in London or some shit.
Well, no, that was supposed to be the one that's played by Taliki in fact, they just retconned it.
Oh.
What was his name? Crag or Krang or whatever the fuck.
Krang. Man, fuck this movie, bro. I don't want to talk about it anymore. All right, let's talk about a good movie. Captain America: Winter Soldier, the Russo brothers' MCU debut. They produced some of the best movies, maybe the best in this franchise.
Wait a minute. Well, I'm gonna quiz you right now before we move on to the Winter Soldier. Tell me where all the stones that we've talked about. Tell me where they're all at. We've talked about 3 of them.
Well, the Collector has 2.
No, the Collector has
The
1.
Collector has 1, the Aether, and then
Yeah.
the Cosmic Cube is in Asgard still, right?
You gotta be such an asshole, bro. You know that's not the name. You just gotta do it just because you want to say you know it.
That's right.
The Cosmic Cube.
That's right, bro. The Cosmic Cock.
The Tesseract.
And then I think Hydra. Hydra
the-
jacks the wand.
Yes, the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right, Winter Soldier, the most beloved of all these movies. I think this is everybody puts it as their number 1. You know why this movie works? I don't either, but I like this movie. You know why it works though? It works.
There's a lot of reasons why it works.
Yeah, well, I think the main reason is because it's not really a superhero movie. It's totally more of an espionage type film. It's got twists and turns. It's got ties into the previous film. It's got shocking turns. It's got a lot of surprises. But and this is a good example of what Rian Johnson did not do with The Last Jedi, and that's subverting your expectations in a good way. It wasn't like he kept fucking with you. Like the movie fucks with you, but not in a negative way. You know, it really, the twists are all earned. And has some good action. It's probably the most grounded.
And
remember,
it has GSP, brother. It has GSP playing a pirate. You know how to put that over?
Yes, it does. No, I don't want to put him over at all, bro. But yes, it
George
does.
Georges Batroc.
Yes, George St. Pierre, bro. If you call him anything else, he gets confused. Who just retired recently. But no, the movie. And Frank Grillo, bro.
The Alpha. I love that guy, bro.
Alpha, bro. But no, what I was gonna say, and also Emily Van Camp was cute in this movie too. But the point I'm trying to make is, Robert Redford, bro. I completely forgot he was in this film. Like,
Bobby Redford, getting a payday.
No, a lot of good actors here, and then Sam Jackson is amazing here. Look, it's a fun movie. It's much more of like a grounded. It's the most grounded MCU film. It doesn't even feel like.
I would say so. You're right.
It's more of a spy movie. Yeah.
It is a spy movie, and it's such a great film. And again, we talked about the difficulties for writing for Captain America, and they do such a great job of going around that here. And it's continuing that thread of his undenying loyalty to his country, and how his country keeps on fucking him over, bro,
and betraying him. Yeah,
which is gonna lead us to civil war, and how he doesn't want to sign the Accords for that very reason. But it's all subtle. Like he never cuts a promo on his country. It's all just stuff that you get rewarded as you're watching these films progress and progress. And here's the continuation of that. It started with Captain America: First Avenger, where they kind of didn't believe in him, and he was a scrawny punk and this and that. And now, even when he became Captain America, like when he was all juiced up, they still had him as a sideshow freak, going to entertain the soldiers in First Avengers. But here, he's part of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. He decided to stay with S.H.I.E.L.D., and he meets Anthony Mackie, who's the Falcon. They kind of meet each other running up and down Washington, D.C. They kind of become running buddies, right. And that's how they develop a friendship, of course. So the Falcon kind of becomes an Avenger later on himself, and so. It has so many great themes of betrayal and loyalty and all that stuff.
And also, the whole thing where Hydra was hiding inside of S.H.I.E.L.D., so you don't even know who to trust. You can't even trust your own people. I love it.
That's right. And so they try to kill.
It comes off more like a Bourne movie than a superhero movie.
And so the first half has a lot to do with Nick Fury as well. And what I like about these movies is that Romanoff, Nick Fury, and Bruce Banner, they've all gotten such great character development, and they've never even had their own movies, bro. Like, well, the Hulk did, but without Mark Ruffalo. So that's just great writing, because we know so much about Nick Fury, we know so much about Romanoff, and they have never even had their own film. Especially with Romanoff in like in Age of Ultron, where you kind of see the glimpses of her past, and then in Avengers, where Loki's fucking with her, trying to play with her, and she says how she's trying to get rid of her red ink from when she was an assassin in Russia.
Yep.
So all these great things that are just written into the movie without giving them their own movie. It goes to show that if you're a good writer, you don't need an hour and a half, 2 hours to tell somebody's story. So they have this great scene, bro. I haven't even started about fucking Bucky.
No, he's great. Even in the trailer when he grabbed that shield, I was like, yo, I couldn't wait to see this movie.
No, let me ask you this, because I'm sure with the internet we all knew, but does the trailer reveal that that's Bucky Barnes? It doesn't, right? 'Cause
No,
that's
no, no,
supposed to
no,
be a
no.
big shock.
We knew because we were comic book fans, but no, it does not. You're right.
So
And
again,
he's got the damn. He's got the fucking. What wrestler had that haircut, bro? Not Sean
lot of
O'Hare, but he.
well, Shawn Michael had the schoolboy haircut,
No,
the
what?
Dutch boy, as the Undertaker called him.
No, who does he look like, bro? I forget who Bucky Barnes looks like in this movie, bro. But
So
no, he looks like Brad Maddox, bro.
well, is he as lucky as Brad Maddox? Is what I gotta say.
I know. After seeing
Or
the
unlucky, depending
unlucky.
on-
There you go, unlucky, bro. Remember, she's cursed. Her movie didn't even make no money, bro. She's cursed.
Well, that was the Rock's movie. He's gonna have $7 in his pocket again if you don't watch
Her
it.
real movie is the one that we saw, bro, with the purple gimmick. That's her real movie, bro.
No, that one of the greatest scenes here. There's a lot of great scenes, but one of them is when they're trying to kill Fury, and he's trapped in his fucking SUV that never dies, bro. Like, he's so calm in that movie, and they start blasting him, right? Because that's pretty much what Robert Redford's character did, is that he authorized Order 66, bro. If you want to get Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's my favorite scene in the movie. That whole sequence is my favorite scene in the movie.
So pretty much at this point, Hydra was going to reveal themselves to the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they were going to execute all of them and take over. And what's cool about this is that Hydra also had the counter-terrorist strike team, which was led by Frank Grillo, who later on becomes Crossbones. And so he was already corrupt. And so they have that great fucking scene, bro, where they're trying to fucking kill Nick Fury, and he's all calm. But then he injects fucking adrenaline into himself, bro, so he could get even more tough. And that's pretty awesome, bro. That's like kind of cool. Because you would never see that.
That's what Jules did, bro, in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it, they're blasting me. I'm about to go into shock. Fuck this. And bam, he just injects himself and he gets all hyped up and shit. And then his SUV has it's one of those fucking Tony Stark kind of cars that has a mind of its own. And it's pretty cool. But then, so they have this great scene. I'm marking out over this movie, bro.
It's a good movie.
And he takes off, right? So he goes through this barrage of bullets, and he's taking off on the highway, and all of a sudden the Winter Soldier comes out, bro. And he punches the car, and the car does a wacky.
I love all their confrontations in the streets, bro. Like all the Captain America Winter Soldier fights, they're very good in this movie.
Another great scene. So again, Order 66 is executed. They got to take care of everybody. They thought they took care of Nick Fury because he fakes his death.
Yes.
But they also try to take care of Captain America in the elevator, bro. Another great scene.
I love that scene, bro. When he's surrounded, I love that scene.
Yeah, he's surrounded by Frank Grillo and his goons. And then they all know it's that classic, we know there's about to be a fight, but nobody could say it. You could feel the tension, as they're going down and shit. And so they start throwing down, right? And then they did a great job with the production design, because they made it into one of those glass elevators where you could shoot it and throw people through it and shit. So that was pretty fucking cool, dude.
Yep.
And another thing I like about these films, Iron Man 3, this one, I don't like Iron Man 3, but what I like about it, how they worked around the idea of why don't you just call the Avengers? If you notice, all these films take place within a couple of days, to the point where you can't even contact your crew, because in Winter Soldier, everything happens so fast. And Captain America doesn't trust anyone that he can't pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Tony, help me out," or "Hey, fucking Thor, where are you at?" So I like how they wrote
Thor's
their
got
way.
his own problems too.
Well, they all kind of do in a way, bro. But I love the way they worked around that. Everything happens so fast. The betrayal happens so fast that you have no time to fucking call your homies to help you, because, how are you gonna do it? He's on the run. So that was a good idea, and that they kind of
Also, wasn't this the movie they had the blow off with Peggy Carter, where he goes to visit her and she's old? That was this movie, right?
Yeah, and then I believe she dies in this one,
No,
and then
I thought she died in part 3.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I'm getting them confused. Yeah, you're right. Because that's still the monkey on his back. He's gotta kind of talk to her, and although I think he's been seeing her, it's not like they've gone this whole time. And it's not WWE Monday Night Raw, bro, where they only see each other on Mondays and everything has to stay on hold till Monday.
Right.
They can't text each other in wrestling or call. So eventually they kill Bobby Redford. Now the only thing that I didn't like, bro, that was kind of wacky is when Romanoff disguises herself as the old lady. With that fucking Eric Bischoff minister fucking gimmick, bro.
Yeah. They should have had 2 Samoans come out and help her out, bro.
and then
Rose
Bobby Redford
and Jamal would have taken care of Hydra real quick.
Well, they're both dead now, so I don't know how that's gonna happen.
Damn.
And then also there's a little bit of a MacGuffin here too, because Bobby Redford's not even the real villain. It's really they mostly focus on Bucky and the Winter Soldier. Although Bobby Redford's the one that's kind of puppeteering the whole thing from the background. So they kill him. Bucky goes on the run, and Nick Fury's like, I gotta go hide because Hydra's still out there, and Shield is whatever's left of Shield is gonna be Hydra. All right. So that takes care of Nick Fury for a while into Age of Ultron, and Captain America decides to stay behind. So he's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna stay," and then he stays with the Falcon, right? So their whole mission is to find Bucky. So that's what they're doing, intermediate to these films. They're kind of looking for Bucky, and that's it. That's the end of the film.
Love it. Love the film.
And then in the mid-credit scene, they have this guy's name's wacky, bro. Baron Wolfgang von Strucker.
Right. Von Strucker, yes. And we see Big Titty Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor Johnson with their powers.
Yes, because the Mind Stone kind of created that, even though they can't call them mutants because they don't have the rights.
They can't. At the time they didn't. They couldn't say that Magneto was their dad, bro. That's really what happened.
And then in the post-credit scene, they just have Bucky Barnes visiting his own memorial at the Smithsonian, and that's pretty much
which was kind of cool and kind of creepy. Yeah. Now, then we have Guardians of the Galaxy.
My third favorite of all time,
Great movie. Another great movie. Probably the most fun. Now, the one thing about this movie is this is the one that started the whole let's be funny all the time. You know, because Thor Ragnarok kind of adopted this, and so did Spider-Man. I don't want every MCU movie to be like this, and I don't think they all will be. I think Avengers is still going to be pretty serious, but this is the one that really started that whole let's be funny all the time thing. But
and it also affected Last Jedi, because they started kind of with that wacky, you know, when Poe was fucking around with what's his face in the beginning.
Yeah, that Disney bullshit. I don't like it either. I don't like it either. But it worked here. And this movie's a lot like Star Wars. It is a lot like Star Wars. James Gunn directed and co-wrote the screenplay. I really like this movie, bro. I mean, there's so much to talk about. This was the first real voyage into cosmic Marvel. Right, we saw a little bit of it before, but this is now more space stuff.
This is all spacey, other than the beginning where they show Peter Quill and how he got abducted by Yondu. This is all just cosmic space.
And you want to talk about Alpha, bro? I mean, Dave Bautista's not Alpha, bro, as Hunter told us recently on Raw. But Vin Diesel as Groot, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, bro. He's not singing to Lady Gaga in this movie. Then we got, of course, fucking Michael Rooker, bro, the Rook.
I love that guy.
Yes, Yondu Udonta. We got him. We got Karen Gillan as Nebula.
Jimon Hansu, who's a good little character actor.
And we get to see, this is also Josh Brolin's debut as Thanos in this movie.
And we get to see Benicio again.
Yeah, and that awesome scene in space where he's like, you know, I will bathe the starways in your blood. You know, threatening freaking Ronan the Accuser. Like,
he punks him out. You know, well, first Ronan kills the jabroni that we saw in Avengers. He does some wacky thing with his axe that shoots lightning and then twists his head around, and then he just falls. And that's the end of that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know where the other two homies were that came out in Infinity War, but I'm not gonna ask those kind of questions.
Well, there was like 4 of them in Infinity War, but yeah.
That's right. And I can't keep up with their names, unfortunately, even though they were all Alpha.
Ebony Maw is the best one, bro. AKA fucking Voldemort.
So this film is also interesting because it was the first
I
film
heard Ebony Maw is going to be Brandy Rhodes' new gimmick in AEW. Is that true? Anyways, keep going.
So... No, this was the first film where a couple of things that's very interesting happened with this film. First of all, this was where Disney found out they had equity with the MCU, because at this point they could release anything that's tied up to the MCU and it's going to make a boatload of money.
The Guardians of the Galaxy were never an A-team, even in the 80s, even the original squad, because the original Guardians in the comics were totally different. Different squad altogether. The Guardians of the Galaxy were never an A-team act, bro. Ever. And now they've become that.
But, like, in my research, bro, there's a shitload of them, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, that the original team wasn't even in this movie. It was the more modernized team.
So, and another thing, too, is that, like you said about Star Wars, like, This film was literally carried by word of mouth, bro. This film, the reason why it made a lot of money is because people were watching it 2, 3, 4 times in the theater and paying for it every time.
The trailer was great too. Great trailer.
The trailer was good, but there was nobody that was over as a movie star here. This is the opposite. I mean, it had Vin Diesel and Bradley Cooper, but they were like, it wasn't really them. They were just providing the voices.
That's right.
Dave Bautista was unproven. Zoe Saldana was kind of like washed up at this point. She had a good career before this, but she hadn't really done nothing after, and this kind of brought her back. And then Chris Pratt was kind of like a TV comedy guy. You know, he was a fat guy who got in shape, and now he was like, you know, so that was his deal. He really wasn't a big star, and this kind of shot everybody to the stratosphere, bro. Like, it really got everybody over. James Gunn was a B movie director, right? He was a guy that had a lot of equity with people like myself who enjoy that kind of like exploitation films. He came from the trauma film world, and he got a shot because, again, as we talked about in the last show, like Kevin Feige, his whole idea was to give these kind of filmmakers their avenue to make any movie they wanted, like, you know. So and that's part of the success of the MCU, I think, because every time they get a job with the MCU, they bring a lot of heart, and they're really passionate about the films they make.
And this is the movie that almost had to move WrestleMania's date because of this movie, right? Wasn't that what we found out recently as well? Now, I will say this: Batista's amazing in this movie as Drax. He's hilarious. Like this is actually the first movie that's actually pretty damn funny.
And he's got a lot of good lines too,
yeah,
like
you said.
And this is this is another movie where it's very, the editing is very, very good, man.
Great characters, great editing, you know, and great special effects.
Because look, you bounce from the introduction of Peter Quill, then you bounce to them meeting each other because they all won the ball, what do you call it, what do they call this stone is the
this is the time stone, I believe, right?
No, Doctor Strange.
No, that's right, that's Strange time stone. This is
the Power Stone.
The Power Stone, yeah, the purple one.
But the orb. That's
and
what
don't forget, this one has fucking Seth Green voicing Howard the Duck, bro. Why you let him lick your face for? And Lloyd Kaufman's in this movie in a cameo, bro.
Of course, bro. His mentor.
Yeah.
So look, we go from the introduction of Peter Quill. Then when they all won the orb, that's where they meet each other. So they use that concept of trying to attain the orb and Xandar. They all kind of klutzily meet each other, right? Is that whole old trope of like enemies come together for a common cause or whatever. And then in that whole scuttle right there, we also meet the Nova Corps, which are going to become very important later on. And that's planting seeds for like Phase 4 shit coming up.
Yes.
Yep. So the Nova Corps get introduced here, and this is all within the first 35 minutes, and it's so layered. And
they show they show like the different planets, like when they go to oh god, what's the name of the planet, bro?
Nowhere?
No, not Nowhere. That's awesome. But no, when they're on
Xandar?
When they're on Xandar, yeah, and like you see like that kind of Coruscant type of thing. Like I like that a lot. Like
exactly.
The movie feels like how the Star Wars prequel should have been.
And it feels like The Last Jedi.
No, come on now. One's a good movie and one is not.
So look, they do all that, then they go to prison, and then that's where they really bond, and they use every line of dialogue is there to serve the purpose of the characters, which is great. And you know, they start giving, and here's another great thing about this film, they start giving you Easter eggs on the Celestials too, which
this is the movie that actually explains what the Infinity Stones are. Like it actually goes through the explanation.
Right. And then, you know, you get character development on Rocket, how he feels isolated. He feels like he's like this creature. He never gets any respect. Of course, Drax is pissed off at Thanos because he was involved with killing his family.
Yeah, originally it was Ronan, and then he's like, oh, it was actually Thanos. Okay.
Yeah, but he fucked that up too. He couldn't kill him.
Yeah. No, he got his ass whooped.
So I love that scene where a drunken Drax kind of calls Ronan, and Ronan comes in and fucks him up. And then from there, they kind of you have that other subplot of Yondu hunting down or chasing his son because he wants to kill him for taking the oath,
bro.
And then the last act of the movie is them fucking joining together and going
the big Star Wars fight, bro. It was like a space battle on Xandar. That was great. That was a great scene. That was a great freaking scene.
I love this movie, bro. And then you also have Quill revealing to everybody that he's part alien, even though, see, again, it's all subtleties and planting seeds because they never say nothing. All you know is that he survived holding the Infinity Stone. And how do you know that that's a big deal? Because that one broad that's with the Collector, she tried to do that and she blew everybody up.
Yeah, and then we find out that his daddy is Snake Plissken.
Yeah, that's later, yeah. And a kind of not so good film. I don't think that one ages well, actually.
A lot of people like that movie. I liked it too, but I agree it's not as good as this one. But that one got a lot of love recently when people were rewatching it.
So that's pretty much it. So Quill, because he's able to hold on to the stone. And also,
it's funny because Guardians 1 feels like Star Wars, but Guardians 2 feels like Star Trek, bro. Like there's so many Star Trek elements in Guardians 2 versus Guardians 1.
Yeah, the wacky planets and with the I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's more of a space exploration film.
So this film here, one of the things too that I like at the end, because remember they started off as rogues that kind of hated each other, just kind of the Drakes of society, right? All four of them. And then at the end, when Quill's kind of melting because he's holding on to the Infinity Stone, they all hold hands together, which signifies that they found each other and they found a family, right? So they're gonna sacrifice each other.
Which is gonna be a big plot thread with Rocket coming up in Infinity War or in Endgame.
That's right.
His family's gone.
So that was pretty cool how they did that, and then that's how they kill Ronan, and that's pretty much it. And then in the post-credit scene, the Collector sits, and like you said, Howard the Duck's right there, kind of sad. Or not sad, he's kicking back, drinking, but the Collector's kind of sad because they fucked up his Collector room.
Avengers: Age of Ultron. Okay.
Now let me ask you this: do you think that the Collector picked up all his shit and restarted his room?
Yeah.
Or do you think when Thanos showed up, it was still jacked up?
No, I think he tried to restart it. Thanos fucked it up again. That's what I think. And put more heat on him. So, Avengers: Age of Ultron. First of all, the story here goes that Joss Whedon was originally, they wanted him to come back and do another Avengers film. We presume it was going to be Thanos. And he said, no, I want to do Ultron. Because Ultron was a huge villain of the Avengers in the comics. In fact, the comic book version of Ultron is way, way more interesting than the movie version, which is actually why the movie was a big letdown for me the first time I watched it, because even though I liked it, the big disappointment of the film is that they didn't go with the original story, which is that Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man, and the original Wasp created Ultron. And he had an Oedipus complex because Ultron was in love with his wife, with the original Wasp, Michelle Pfeiffer, I guess you could say, in this universe. And that's what made him go crazy. He hated Hank Pym. And then all of that got changed when it was Tony Stark's idea, which again, at first it bothered me, but over time it got better. Now, what popped me about this movie, the trailer, bro, with the Pinocchio thing.
They're gonna say James Spader, which is enough to pop me.
Oh no, James Spader is great, but I'm getting there. So the original trailer was for this movie, still one of my favorite trailers of all time. The fucking Pinocchio thing, and then it ends with him, no strings on me. I was like, man, like I remember I watched that trailer over and over and over and over and over again, bro. I was hyped.
That was cool. I really love the trailer.
I was hyped for this fucking movie, bro. And we saw Quicksilver. This, of course, introduced Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, which were original Avengers. Like they came in. Well, no. They were originally part of the mutants, the evil mutants, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants in X-Men. But later on, Quicksilver did become one of the original Avengers. Same thing. Well, not the original, but one of the early Avengers with Scarlet Witch. Actually, Ant-Man is one of the original Avengers, and he came in after this. But this movie grew on me, bro. Honestly, like I didn't.
No, wait a minute. Don't retcon your own story, because me and you were in deep contact during this.
I liked it at first. Then when I saw it again, I didn't like it, and then it grew on me when I watched it a couple years ago.
You were so excited. You were so excited when you first came out of this screening, and you've admitted, to your credit, that it was because of the post-credit scene.
Yes, it was because of Thanos, dog. That's right.
Because you did claim.
I'll do it myself.
That this was better than the Avengers 1 at that time, which was sacrilege in my opinion. Even then I was saying that because it wasn't. This movie has a lot of problems, and one of them is pacing. It's all over the place. It's trying to serve a lot of masters, and it's just it's kind of a jumbled mess in a lot of ways. Because
Ultron becomes evil way too fast. He grows his army way too fast. He gets way too fast.
Here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line about Ultron that I've kind of realized as I got in other people's perspective, yourself included. This movie, Ultron, deserves at least two or three movie arc.
That's right, he does. Because in the comics, he kept coming back with more upgrades. Ultron 2, Ultron 3, Ultron 4, Ultron 5. It was like years and years and years and years and years. They squished that into like, what, a few days in this movie?
Yes, and also there was too much development of the character for the allotted runtime, which was a shame because there was a lot there that they could have done with this villain. Because let's be real, bro, because without depowering Ultron, he's probably almost as strong as Thanos because he's an artificial intelligence. And the reason I say that is because if Vision was able to pick up the hammer,
yes,
Ultron was way stronger than Vision, even though Vision has the Mind Stone. Which was Ultron's idea, by the way. That's what he wanted to do for himself, so he could be indestructible. He wanted to give himself a permanent body with the Mind Stone. And so the character is very dangerous.
Yeah,
it's
but the Mind Stone Vision, if he knew how to use that better, could have easily wiped out Ultron. Don't underestimate the power of those stones.
And he could easily wiped out Thanos, but they depowered.
They
Vision.
made him a jabroni. Yeah. But it was like 5 stones to 1 or whatever, or 6 stones to 1 or whatever.
So right here, what they do right off the hop is that they blow off the Hydra storyline. The Hydra storyline culminates in this movie. They blow it off in the first 10 minutes.
Didn't they build up to this on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show? Like they called the Avengers in one of the season finales, and that goes right into this movie?
Yes, what happens is that the entire the second half of the entire season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was them tracking down the Hydra facility that has the Scepter and Baron Wolfgang von Strucker. And then at the end, they call the Avengers, and that's exactly where the Avengers start. So that was pretty cool how they did that. They kind of rewarded the fans who watch everything. And so right here, this movie is kind of a convoluted mess because it tries to do a lot of things. So first, they blow off Hydra really fast.
Yep.
Then the Scarlet Witch starts fucking with all the Avengers. So this is
early in the film, yes.
But the purpose of this is to kind of build seeds for what's going to come for all of them in their respective movies. So Thor gets a vision of Ragnarok where he sees and
that wound up being a problem because Joss Whedon did not want to include that scene, and Kevin Feige, I think, fought with him on it.
Yes, and that's why it gets kind of weird. Tony Stark sees the death of the Avengers, which they've retconned into thinking has to do with Thanos, but in actuality, it was the reason why that was like the last straw for him to build Ultron because he wanted to protect everybody.
Yeah.
And Steve Rogers, he just kind of sees his past. I don't think he sees anything, not even with Bucky or nothing like that.
The Peggy Carter thing in like the ballroom or something?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Romanoff sees like whatever's gonna be in her prequel movie with her, being trained to be an assassin, and I guess that's when
they ruined her like reproductive organs because
yes,
that's
a
plot thread. That's another thing too. This movie started that Bruce Banner love story with her that hasn't not gotten a payoff yet, bro. They ignored it in freaking Infinity War.
No, they saw each other. They
didn't do anything with it.
Well, dude, they had a fucking demigod coming after them.
No, I know that, but I'm saying that, is this going to even have a blow-off? I don't know. Now, this movie did introduce Ulysses Claus, a.k.a. Our boy Andy Serkis getting 2 paydays in a movie. Let's not forget that, because he got 2 paydays here.
Yeah, but also, I think he was in this movie longer than he was in Black Panther, bro.
He was in this movie longer than he was in Last Jedi, that's for sure, bro. But he gets his arm cut off by Ultron, and there's a few good Ultron scenes, like, oh, I'm sorry, like, there's a few...
he's got some great dialogue, bro.
He does, but it's not as cool as the comic book dialogue, bro. It's just not. Like, he's a psychopath in the comics. Here he's more of a wisecracker.
But here's a little subtle thing that nobody picks up on.
The Tony Stark thing.
Yeah, he's a reflection of Tony Stark.
Yeah, I know. No, I know that. I'm totally. It's a different Ultron than from the comics. That's what got me to accept this movie. That I had to accept that the comic book version of Ultron is not going to be here, and that's fine. That's fine. But for a while there, it did bug me. And this is the first time we ever hear about vibranium in Wakanda, which would become a plot thread for 2 other movies, really 3 other movies.
You get the best. What does it say? You get the best mineral in the world, and you turn it into a frisbee.
Into a frisbee. That's such a human thing to do. Yeah, I love that. I love that line, bro. We also saw the Hulkbuster armor here as well.
That's right. Yeah. So and they also teased the Hulk turned into a villain for a little while when he gets out of control, and they got to regulate him with the Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a lot like Iron Man 2. Like the first half has a narrative, and then they just kind of throw all that away because the second half, the twins kind of become good guys all of a sudden. They kind of see what Ultron's up to, and they don't agree with him, and they kind of leave him. Again, they introduced Ulysses Claw. Now that's a good cameo, but it's kind of out of nowhere. And then they introduced the Wakanda. They talk about Wakanda. So this movie is almost like a big commercial for what's to come next. It has all kinds of little seeds that are planted for what's gonna come next in the MCU. But it doesn't really make a coherent story.
The rumor is that we're going to see Ultron make a cameo in Infinity War. Or, I'm sorry, in Endgame when they go back in time. That's the rumor. Which is great for James Spader, bro. I can't wait to hear him one more time.
But his name's not in the IMDb, and they usually spoil all this shit because they spoiled Frank Grillo and all these guys.
Yeah, but sometimes they keep that a secret as well.
Well, that's true. You're right about that. They probably
Red Skull was a big secret.
That is right, yeah. But Hugo Weaving didn't come back. They got a guy to make the voice of Hugo Weaving.
You're right. But it's whatever. You can't tell the difference.
But in the IMDb would have said the Red Skull, though, and they didn't. So you're right.
Yeah, you're right. They did. Now, here's the thing, too. I feel that the movie really falls apart when they go to the safe house. That's when the movie that's the worst part of the movie. That's when it's like, cut this whole thing out.
And the reason they did that was because Josh Whedon felt bad for what's his name?
Jeremy Renner.
What the hell? Jeremy Renner, because he didn't give him a lot to work with in the first one because he was under mind control most of the movie. So he wanted to kind of add some layer to him with the family. Now, I will say they had a cool red herring here where this is pretty clever. The entire purpose of Hawkeye was to make you believe that he was going to die in this film with all his dialogue, right? Like everything about it. They introduced the family. He says this is his last job ever. The way he talks to a Quicksilver, where he makes you think that he's gonna take a bullet for Quicksilver, and it's the other way around at the end. So that was pretty cool. He gives that speech to Scarlet Witch about how sometimes you just have to go out there and fight, and you got to stand up because you have no choice. And then he gets up. Even to the point where when he's giving that speech, they have little openings in the window with the sun reflecting him, so like maybe a bullet could hit him, because a lot of movies do that shit. But I like how they did that. Josh Whedon was pretty clever on doing stuff like that, and they never actually killed him, so they actually killed Quicksilver at the end. So that was pretty cool.
Which is funny, because I could have sworn that Aaron Taylor Johnson signed on to the 3 movies. So, I mean, then again, they're doing time travel shit, so maybe he's gonna survive somehow.
That's true.
They could bring everybody back.
So Nick Fury in the farm, Nick Fury comes out of hiding, because he's been hiding since Winter Soldier from the, and he comes out and he disappears again. But then it gets weird because Thor goes to check out Ragnarok, and then he finds Dr. Salve, where he takes him to that weird pond and shit where he sees the vision.
Yeah, that movie part was weird. Yeah.
And then like Captain America and Tony Stark are still fighting. Like they've been fighting since they met each other. Really, when you think about it.
That scene in the forest with the chopping the wood thing or whatever in the barn.
Yeah, and then just different philosophies.
But that would lead into Civil War, and I like that.
Because we forgot to talk about how much heat Tony Stark got from the other Avengers for creating Ultron, bro.
Yes, yeah. They were pissed off at him. He just wanted it, like his whole thing was that he wanted it so that he didn't want to be a soldier with them. Captain America's always been a soldier. Tony didn't want to be a soldier. That's why he created Ultron. So his intentions were good, but 10 seconds with Ultron being in the internet, and he all of a sudden hates humanity, which, brother, the internet makes you hate humanity, so I get it.
And also, one of the things I got to put over about this movie that I love is the party scene, because they're celebrating because they destroyed Hydra, and I like that party scene because it doesn't do nothing, but it's just good world building and character development. Everybody gets their moment. The War Machine has the joke that gets over like crotch rot with the Avengers because they've seen it up, but then when he tells it to regular people, they pop. Because what was his joke? He was like, so then I got the tank and I put it right on his lawn and I go boom, and then the Avengers no sell it, right? Because like, so who cares? You picked up a tank and you just. But then when he tells it to regular people, they pop,
right?
And they show War Machine like, yeah, I got him. That was pretty cool. And then they do a little more where Romanoff and Bruce Banner's like they want to date each other at the bar when they're drinking right there, and then they talk a little bit about Jane, how she's traveling all over the world, doing stuff. And so everybody gets a little time. They have the Falcon come off for a little cameo.
Yeah.
And I like that scene.
And I like the fight at the end too. Actually, I do like that fight at the end.
And then of course the party scene ends when everybody's trying to pick up the hammer, because Iron Man is like, he thinks he's a very egocentric guy. He's like, I could pick up this hammer, and he can, right? So they're telling Thor, anybody that picks it up could rule Asgard. and so nobody could. So they have like this little pretty cool montage of everybody trying, and then Captain America tries, bro, and then he lifts it a little bit.
Yeah,
and they
which might get a payoff in Endgame. No spoilers, but it might. We haven't seen it yet.
Right.
As far as this
that's
goes.
right. And so then they show Thor's reaction, like he's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then once he can't pick it up, he's like, he just laughs. Like, that was a cool little acting by Crimson.
No, I like the scenes where they're together, and then all of a sudden, this guy's coming up with the poetry strings, and like it just.
That's right, bro.
It came out of nowhere. You're right. The pacing in this movie's a mess.
And so, all in all, I like it. All in all,
No,
it's not a bad...
grew on me, yeah, but you're right. It's not as good as the first Avengers movie, but it did grow on me.
And then the mid.
And I'm a big fan of the Vision too, by the way. I want to say when Vision, we should talk about that. Vision showing up was totally alpha. The way they did that, the way he lifted the hammer, the way he was not there to fuck around. And I love that. And then he became a jobber in the next one, but still, he was fine.
But the thing about Vision was that he's the one, because we thought that Ultron killed him, but he was actually just hiding and actually manipulating Ultron through the internet. Like, because remember, there's a part in the movie where they know they have an ally, but they don't know who it is.
Yeah,
so
it's him. It's Jarvis on the internet.
And so, what happens is that when the twins kind of fuck up with Ultron, they kind of mess up his little lab where he's trying to get the body. And I forget why he takes off. Ultron just takes off and he kind of leaves everything there, and he kills the Asian chick.
Because his plan was to lift up that big island and then drop it to fuck up the whole Earth. It was wipe out humanity, really.
See that? And then his motivation is a little comic booky, bro.
Oh, it's very comic booky. He thinks that the world would be better without humans. I'm gonna save the Earth by wiping out humans.
But his idea to create a apocalypse, bro, where he's just gonna fucking drop and that's it, like wacky. And so then Iron Man has to convince Bruce Banner to help him out create Vision, and Bruce is like, what are you talking about? You're gonna create another one when we just have one that's on the loose. And then so that was a good little thing there towards the end. And so they do create the Vision, and then
it's Jarvis, who somehow has a soul and falls in love with Big Titty Brie Olsen, or whatever her name is.
Well, wouldn't you, bro?
Maybe. I mean, but I wouldn't fuck with a chick who can control your mind, bro, which happens to be a power that most women actually have. So.
But her sisters are loaded with that Full House money, so you'll be doing all right.
I feel like if we grow up, that those magical abilities of Scarlet Witch won't affect us anymore, bro. When we were younger, they did, but not now.
I don't know about that. I've seen 60-year-old men still being controlled by that.
Well, those are not. Those are betas, bro. They're beta. So yeah, good movie. Not a great movie. Not a great one, but a good one.
Yeah. So
a lot of action.
Lot of action. They do the wacky. You know what's weird about this movie? They actually do that wacky freeze frame shot of all the Avengers in the beginning fight scene instead of the ending.
Well, the ending at the end when they were all together in that top down view. Remember? That was kind of cool.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and then where Captain America does like a spot monkey spot, bro, where he does like 10 flips just to punch a guy. That was wacky.
That's right, bro. We need GSP back in there, bro. Les Thatcher's least favorite scene in the movie, bro. So this was also Joss Whedon's farewell from the MCU, unfortunately. So
yeah, he didn't really like the way they made him do things. Much like Jon Favreau, he just kind of said, "Fuck it, I'm cool with you guys, but I'll see you when I see you," pretty much.
Then we have Ant-Man, which came out just 2 months later, directed by Peyton Reed, who I think isn't that one of the Iconics? Well, anyways, now Ant-Man is a movie that I did not see when it first came out. In fact, you were the person that put me onto this film, because I think a lot of folks skipped it, because when you go from Age of Ultron down to Ant-Man seems so insignificant. But man, like when I actually got around to watching this film, which was after about a few months after it came out, I love this movie. I don't understand why people don't like this movie as much as I do and as much as you do.
People like it. I mean,
I love it, bro.
This is kind of an overachieving film. It was kind of I think people they had their fix of MCU stuff because the Avengers Age of Ultron got so much hype and it was such a big hit at the time.
Yeah. Now, who was the original director of this movie that he left?
Edgar Wright.
Which
is a great filmmaker. So there was drama there. So Edgar Wright, and actually it's funny because Kevin Feige has gone on record that it was the conversations that he had with Edgar Wright and the enthusiasm that Edgar Wright had for this character that was one of the things that convinced him to go ahead and start this MCU back in like 2006. And Edgar Wright had all these ideas for Ant-Man and the things that he could do and all that stuff, and he wanted to connect it to the other Avengers. But there was I think Edgar Wright wanted to make it kind of like his Shaun of the Dead movie and shit, like very very wacky and comedic.
Right.
And he also, when he was gonna start production, all of a sudden he wanted this to be its own movie. He didn't want it to connect it at all to the Avengers.
Did you think that having Ant-Man be the last Phase 2 movie is weird, considering that it's not an Avengers movie? You know what I mean?
That is weird, yeah. But I think it was because of the what came after this.
I think it was because Civil War was the one right after this one, and that was the beginning of the Tony Cap split that's going to get paid off in Endgame. So I think that was the arc, is that, you know, they split in the beginning of Phase 3 and they get back together at the end of it. That's the way I'm seeing it, yeah.
Right. So, and this one, not so much as Ant-Man and the Wasp, but this one introduces them to the quantum realm.
And we get introduced to that that technology of.
But I think you're wrong. I think Doctor Strange came after this, not Civil War.
No, Civil War was after this.
Oh,
and
okay.
Then
So
Doctor Strange.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. No. But I love the whole, like, Michael Douglas looking like he did in the game in this movie. That was cool. I loved Evangeline Lilly as Hope. Like, the great characters in this movie. Very heartwarming movie. Having this guy.
This is carried by the characters in the dialogue for sure.
It is. And Scott Lang is this, like, criminal he's a criminal, but he loves his daughter, and he's a relatable character, and he tries to be a good guy. And there's just a lot of heart. Both this movie and the sequel. There's so much heart. And it pisses me off that people don't give these movies enough love, because I think it has a lot of heart, and I think it has a good amount of comedy with Michael Pena in there and T.I. and all them. And, you know, even though the Yellow Jacket was kind of a lame villain, the way that they fought, like the final battle where they're all shrunk, is some of the most creative stuff that they've, like, what a creative fucking movie.
And it's also pretty cool, because if you're this film, if you're paying re, like, what else are you gonna do? What else could you do that people haven't already seen? So you're kind of you know, there's limits to what you could do, because they've already seen it all. So what do? You do something original that's reflective of the character, and that's exactly what they did here. And it was a great fucking time, bro. You know what it did? It killed the monotony of, like, putting up with another 30-minute fight scene that we've seen in every other MCU film, you know, and that was pretty cool.
I loved it. It was just
like they got Tommy the Train right there. You know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a very unique movie. I thought it had a good balance of comedy and a little bit of espionage too. I really like this movie, bro. I think it's actually a top tier MCU movie, and I'm pissed it never gets enough love.
And it also introduced us to Scott Lang, who's a very conflicted character, and it's also one of the good like his character development is interesting, because he's one of those people that we all have in our lives from one time or another, where they're good-hearted people, but they always seem to be tripping on the holes they create. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people like that in life, where, like, they just can't seem to catch a break. And when they do catch a break, they kind of self-sabotage that break from internal issues of self-esteem, or this need to want to contribute, that they do something that gets them in trouble, right? And so I think Scott Lang is very reflective of a lot of people in society. And so him and Peter Quill actually have a lot in common as characters, where they're kind of flawed, but they're good-hearted people. And that's they show it pretty good here. And the first half of the movie is him just trying to get his life together, to the point where he kind of tells his homie Luis, like, he don't want to do that life anymore. But then society kind of puts him in that life again, because he's working in that Baskin Robbins and they fire him.
Right.
And so he kind of gets belittled. Life kind of belittles him, and he's a smart guy. He's got a master's in, like, engineering or some shit. And Destiny kind of puts him in the pathway of Hank Pym, who kind of sees something in him. They never really say how he finds them, though, which is kind of weird. He just kind of finds them, and he kind of creates this mock situation where he steals his own suit from him. So Hank Pym kind of manipulates Scott Lang to steal the suit.
That's right.
So that he could wear it, and then he could manipulate him into kind of becoming the new Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's a great movie, dude. Like, it's definitely it is one that's a little bit isolated. Like, you know, you could probably maybe skip it.
Well, they introduced the quantum realm here, but
they do, but they don't do anything with it till the second movie.
Yeah, you're right.
So it is skippable, but in many ways, the Phase 2 movies were kind of skippable. You don't have to really see Thor 2. Just watch the post-credit scene. Iron Man 3 you can skip. Winter Soldier, I think, is important, because they kind of changed Hydra and killed S.H.I.E.L.D. off, so I think that's important.
You could also, but if you have to, now people shouldn't, because that's like a 4-star movie, but it's also a very isolated movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah, these movies, Phase 2 I felt was a lot more isolated. I think Phase 3 is where things really became like they need each other.
But
With the exception of Guardians 2, which I think is his own thing.
But I think it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. I think the reason why they're isolated is because they had that crutch of like, well, why don't they just call the Avengers? Like every time they make one of these movies, the first question is, well, just call the Avengers and deal with it. So they had to make movies that dealt at a very personal level.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
smaller scale stories.
Yeah,
And that's how it is in the comics too, though. Like that's how it always was in the comics. You've got the Avengers comics, right? But you've also got the Mighty Thor, the Invincible Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk. You've got their own sub issues with their own smaller problems. It's always been like that.
Right. So so the deleted scene here, speaking of being isolated, just pretty much
Deleted the post credit.
I'm sorry, I keep saying deleted. The post credit scene is pretty much
Is the
Hope
scene
finding
from Civil War.
Isn't it Hope finding the Wasp? Doesn't Hank Pym show her the Wasp?
That's the mid-credit scene. Yeah, they show the Wasp outfit and gives it to Hope. But the post-credit scene is basically when they find when they find.
It's a scene from Civil War. Yeah, Bucky's
the
handcuffed.
Accords thing. Yeah, and then Wilson's like, I know somebody who can help, and it's Ant-Man. So.
Yes, so that's pretty much it. And no, I love this movie, bro. Again, I could watch it over and over again, and I have. And the Yellow Jacket's kind of a letdown, but then again, like we talked about, the Ironmonger is not really about the Yellow Jacket. It's about the evolution and the you know of Scott Lang into Ant-Man. So that's really what you got to focus on, and that's what they do.
Right? No, I agree with that. I agree. It's just a kind of a whatever movie, but yeah. That does it for Phase 2. I think Phase 2 is probably not as memorable as Phase 1. The only real classic is Winter Soldier. In my opinion, even though, actually no, Guardians is too. They're both really, really good.
Guardians, Winter Soldier, and Ant-Man's very underrated.
Yeah,
and,
the first two
and then
suck a dick.
And then Age of Ultron is a fun movie.
Yeah. So we have still a pretty good ratio of films here, but some of these are pretty. I hate Dark World. Like, don't even watch it. It's not even important. Don't. It's
but
just
it's
really bad.
the only turkey they have really, like the only turkey is Dark World. I mean even Iron Man 3 has some qualities to it. So really that's a pretty goddamn good ratio, bro. I mean, to only have one turkey is pretty good.
Well, some would say that Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 were turkeys. You know, I don't know if I would agree with that, but some would.
Yeah, that's true. That's
and
true.
Spider-Man Homecoming, I don't think ages that well, but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
That was that was more by the numbers and formulaic, which is not always a bad thing, but it's not gonna leave you with that.
But the great Michael Keaton, bro. What about the fact that Dumbo's out and it's got Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito in the movie together? First time since Batman, bro. Another movie with a circus. What's up with fucking Tim Burton and the circuses, dog?
Timmy Burton, but does Paul Rubens get a payday in Dumbo? I think he does, right?
I think he does, bro. That's one of his boys, bro. Where's Helena Bonham Carter at?
Well, I'm gonna look before we get out of here. I'm gonna look at the. I'm ready to pop if I see Paul. I'm almost pretty sure I saw his name. Dumbo film.
All right, let's. I think he's in it too, bro. Okay, let's see here. Michael Buffer's in the movie, bro. I might go see it now.
Eva Green, of course, she always gets payday from him.
Danny DeVito, Michael Keaton, Colin Farrell, of course.
No, he's not. I thought he was, but because he usually gives them paydays, but I guess he's not in this one. He would have fit.
Yeah, where's Johnny Depp at, bro?
And I think he's taking a break from that guy. He puts him in everything else, right? Maybe Johnny Depp plays Dumbo, bro.
I don't think so. I think he's just CGI, but that's fucking great.
Maybe Andy Serkis plays Dumbo. He learned how to fly.
All I know is that Michael Keaton's character is named V.A. Vanderveer, which is a straight up 1991 freaking Jim Hurd character, bro.
Well, that's also the name that these guys would have back in the Carney days too, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Holt Ferrier, Max Medici. They're carnies, bro. You know what? That might get me. I'm not gonna go see this fucking movie, bro.
I'm gonna see it. I'm excited for it. I mean, not excited, but it looks like a fun movie, bro. It's got a good cast. It's got a decent.
Are they gonna have the crows in it, bro?
I hope so, dude.
Anyway,
how long is it? Because maybe Mark Espinosa will cover. Isn't he doing the Disney movies, bro? From the beginning all the way to the end.
I'm sure he'll get to it by the time we hit the 2038, bro. I'm sure he'll.
Running time 112 minutes, so this one's longer than the original.
Oh, the original's like an hour long, an hour and 5 minutes or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. So we're out of here.
Yep, that's it for Phase 2. We'll catch you the next one. We'll talk about Phase 3, which is going to be probably a longer show because Phase 3 has a lot to talk about. We got to be careful we don't review those movies, but we got to go over at least the story. Phase 3 was big, dude. And
how many movies are in Phase 3?
Oh my God.
It's still going technically. This is the end of it.
Phase 3. Let me look here.
All right, I got it here. It has Civil War, Doctor Strange. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 movies. From Civil War all the way to Endgame.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. 10 movies. Phase 1 had 5, and I think 5, right? No, 6.
Did you see that? Did you see that Phase 4 probable poster where it says all the ones that and then they have a Fantastic Four like 4 years from now?
No, I haven't seen that, but that's all bullshit. That's fanboy jack off, stuff.
Well, Black Widow's official. We know that.
Yeah, we know that, and we know that there's Guardians 3 is official. That we know as well.
Black Panther 2's official.
Yeah, yeah, because Ryan Coogler's doing it again.
What's the movie about the Celestials?
I don't know. They might do one. I haven't heard. But we'll talk about that next time. So thanks again.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Thank you for listening.
We'll talk to y'all next time.